Hi guys, welcome to the webinar. My name is Nicol and I'm from Swingvy. We are the all-in-one HR cloud-based solution, which we are providing a cloud-based solution to our customers. So we are providing all the customers in Malaysia, Singapore, and Taiwan on all the HR-related job, which will ease their HR job easily and effectively. Even though they have never used any HR system before, and they can adopt to our solution effectively. So let's get our session started. Okay, today the session is to share with you guys how are we going to apply the WSP from Perkeso. And this is one of the packages introduced by the government on the stimulation program, on the economy program. And before we begin the session, this is the Q&A session. I mean, along the presentation, if you guys will have any questions that you might ask, you all can join this site, which is slido.com. And the code to ask any question is B793. So it will be published during the session, and you can join anytime and you can post any questions if you have. Okay, about the agenda today. This is what we are going to share about the current situation on the COVID-19 and what the government helps on the SME business. And I will show you step-by-step guide, how are you going to do the application from the Perkeso if you want to get the WSP or the ELP program for your company to relieve some of the burden. And I still remember that during the very first time, when we heard the first MCO, which is a month back, the government announced that there will be a 2 weeks MCO. And many employers at first, they do not think that that is a big deal because 2 weeks is not a very long hour. I mean, it's not a very long period. They can still survive with this 2 weeks MCO. But there's a bad news, which means that after 2 weeks, it's keep on extending another 2 weeks and 2 weeks. And just cross the fingers, tonight there will be another announcement from our PM. Probably we'll be expecting another extension until mid of the May. So with this prolonged extension, then it will starting to give a lot of burden to most of the employer, where they, according to the Malaysia labor law, the government, the employer, they should not retrench or force the employee to go for no paid leave. So that will be giving a lot of pressures to the financials in every company. So that's why Malaysia, they have launched a program, which is the Economic Stimulation Program. And the WSP is one of it to help the SME to go through these periods. Okay, just some of the quick facts. This is a survey conducted by the FFM to a 419 company. According to this survey, in the future 3 to 6 months time, there are some numbers, all right, which is quite worrying, which is like 60% of them, they have a strategy where they were going to freeze the hiring, and 59% of them, they were going to apply the forced leave to the employee. And 39% and 29%, they will also have a plan to reduce the working days throughout the weeks or working hours throughout the days. All right, so these numbers is not good, but we will still have to go through with it. And the government understand that during this period, there'll be a lot of challenge. So they are launching this package, which is a WSP and ELP. The objective here is to relieve some of their financial burden on their employment headcount. Because we know that during this pandemic period, a lot of shops are not running, a lot of companies is not in operation. So they will be having some cash flow problem to their daily operations. And as you all may be aware, there are two programs which is introduced by Perkeso. One is WSP, which is the Wage Subsidy Programme. And another one is ELP, which is the Employee Retention Program. So you guys might wonder, what is the difference between these two programs? WSP is the program which the payment will goes to the company directly. So the company, they can use this to pay to their employee salary where ELP is a program where there will be a no paid leave involved, all right? Then the employer will apply on behalf of the employee, and the money once received by the employer, they must transfer to their employee within 7 days upon the receipt, all right? So the money will be exactly received from the Perkeso and transferred to the employee if there's any no pay leave involved. All right, just an overview. Who will entitle to apply this WSP? All right, so it will open to all the employer, which means that the employee will not able to apply, which is only can be conducted by the employer. And it's a zero cost, but there will be some condition applied to it, which means that once the employer receives this assistance program from Perkeso, there's a clause, which means within the 6 months, they shall not lay off their employee and force them to go unpaid, all right? That means that there will be still a full salary have to be paid to the employee. And the benefit of it is it will be apply the 1,002 per employee for continuous future 3 months. And the submission method is pretty simple. You just have to go to online and do the submission. And what we are going to share today is the steps and how are you going to make all the information available before you can do the submissions. Okay, just a quick glance. This WSG, it will apply to a various size of industry. So basically there are 3 groups of them, which is a micro and small, which their employee is below 75. And the medium will be 76 to 200 and large in 201. So every size of the industry, they will have a different entitlement. So for micro and small, every employee, they will entitle 1,002 per employee per month for 3 months period, and 800 and 600 subsequently, all right? So if you are from the large organization and you would like to participate in this program, then each employee, they will receive 6,000 per employee per month. And what is the criteria of it is for micro and small, there will be no specific condition. Means that as long as you fulfill that number of headcount, which is 75 and below, then you do not have to supply any financial statement or your income statement. But if you are from medium and large corporation, you must supply the information of your company revenue or the income statement since January 2020. If there's a audit decline, reduce more than 50%, then they will evaluate based on the situation of the company. And how do you register is the employee, they must be registered with Perkeso, which means that they must be a member of the Perkeso before 1st of April. And the employee, they must register with the SSM as well. So if any company register before 1st of January, then they are automatically entitled to this program. Okay, and there's also one condition. This program, it will only offer to those employees' salary, which is 4,000 or below. All right, so employer, you have to bear in mind if you want to go for this program, this is a situations that you have to evaluate, which means that the employee above 4,000, then they are not entitled and you should not submit their list to the Perkeso because that will be exceed the basic income entitlement. All right. And there's only one condition, which means that in order to receive this, the employer must agree that you must keep your employee at least 6 months, including the period of the receiving and the wages of the subsidy. Okay, then how long is the duration? So this program introduced and it has been revised a few times, but the effective period for the application is from 1st of April until 15th of September. So if you have not applied anything, so you can feel free to do so based on your current financial status. And once you apply, the subsidy will come in 3 months from the month of the applications. Okay, so I think you all got the overview, right? I mean, on the WSP, what are the requirements, and if you are ready to do the application, then now we are sharing you on the step-by-step guide. How are you going to perform this application through the Perkeso website? Okay, in a few steps, like 3 to 4 steps, you are able to do so. So it's not a very complicated. The step one, you have to visit the website from the Perkeso. So the link we will provide to you, which is the psu.perkeso.government.my, and you will see the application page lay over there. All right. So you can select as a first-time application at the blue button, and once you go in, the next thing is you will fill up your employee details. Okay, I will have to go through some of the information because you might confuse on what kind of information you have to fill up in this page. Okay, the first one, it will be your company registration number, which is the ones that you register with the SSM, and the account number, all right? Then the number code majikan is the employer Socso number. So as I said previously, you have to be a member of the Perkeso. So for the employer, you will receive your majikan number from the Perkeso that you will fill in this column. And you can select your industry. For instance, like there's a drop down available there. For instance, you are from an education industry and your business nature is an online training. So you can just describe the business nature for your company. And come to here, I will say that there are some parts that have to be careful, which is it will ask you to declare the total number of the employee. All right. So for instance, like if your organization, you have 20 employees. So regardless their salary is below 4,000 or above 4,000, you can just fill up this as the 20 people, which is the actual number of the employee. And the next thing is you will need to fill up how many employee, which is above 4,000. All right. So when I say 4,000, it will be 4,001 and above. All right. And the next thing is the eligible employee. So you can calculate how many employee which is below 4,000 and you can fill out the numbers here. So don't worry about that because if you are using our system, we have a very convenient way to generate the report and you can make a very quick summary on all the numbers that you might want to fill up. Okay, let's move on to the step 3. Okay, so these are all the supporting documents you have to supply to the Perkeso. So they will base on this document to evaluate whether the employee is entitled and they will approve based on the supporting documents. Okay, the first documents that you need to declare is the PSU 50. So this is how the PSU 50 looks like. The form is available in the Perkeso website. So if you follow the link just now, when you click on the application button, then you will see there will be a link provided with the PSU 50. So you might wonder what is this PSU 50 declaration for? So this form is actually the acknowledgement by the employer where they have to declare the information submitted for this application are accurate. So this is just a cover letter for that. And the next thing is the business registration number, or in short is the BRN. So this number is what the company used during the opening of the company bank account. And once the KWS, the Perkeso, they have received the application and they have approved it. So they will base on this letter to transfer the money directly to the company via the electronic fund transfer. So this is the payments that the Perkeso going to make to the company. All right. So the next thing will be the SSF form. So I believe that any company, if they have already registered, then they will have this form and you can just upload the soft copy. Yeah. And the next thing will be the employee listing. All right. So this listing is the parts that the employer might need to refresh, all right, a few times. So this listing, there are a few columns and I would like to specially highlight, which is the column 1 and the last column. So you will see that there is a tuntutan ke 1, 2, and 3. So what is this meant for? So the tuntutan is based on the number of the application. If this is your first time application, then you will fill out 1 here, all right? And if throughout this period, after the first application, on the following month, you have adjustment, all right? Then if you want to resubmit this form, you have to fill out with number 2 here, and so to 3. So the maximum will go up to 3 only, because total, the Perkeso will only release 3 months of the subsidy to the employer. All right. So the rest of the information is pretty simple. It can be extracted with the system if you have any. All right. And the last column is the gaji semasa, which is the current salary, including OT and commissions. All right. So let's take a look at how are you going to generate this Perkeso employee listing. Okay, I'm showing you here is the platform from our Swingvy. All right. So if you have adapted to any HR solution, I believe that the report writing is a very convenient tool where you can extract the information based on your requirement. So here, this report is provided by the HR where you can use it free if you have not subscribed to any plan, because we always give a standard plan to our customer where you can maintain your employee record and you can download the reports anytime. Okay, let me demonstrate to you how you're going to extract the information. This is some of the customized report. You have multiple fields in your employee profile, but you can just select the required information from the listing, all right? So based on the requirement from the Perkeso employee listing just now, you can just select the information that require, which is the name, the job title, the email, and the mobile, and gender, all right? And your IC number, and also your salary, okay? So once you got the information that you need, then you can just click on the download reports. And there will be the Excel file generated with the selection of the field. So based on the information that you generate, you can open up the Excel form and fill up the information which is not available in the report writing, all right? So I have a sample here where the tuntutan here is the first time application. So I will assume like most of the employer is the first time of the application. Then they will just fill up as the 1 numbers here. Then the name, you can paste it right from the report, from the Swingvy report writer, and also the gender and their position or the role, all right? So when you declare to the Perkeso, so you have to make sure that all their salary, they are below 4,000. So it seems like in my database, my employee, they are all earning before 4,000. So all their name, yeah, can be go into the applications, all right? So you just save it and you can just upload it to the Perkeso. Okay, so back to the steps. Okay, so you can see how easy that we can get all this information ready. And the step 4 is to submit the application online. All right. So once you got it, you can just upload all the documents that you have that I showed to you previously. And once you have done that, then you can send for the application. And the final step will be the declaration from the employer. Means that you have to acknowledge every single one of it. Then you can just click on the submit. And once you have submitted the application, so you need to record down the numbers, which is a reference number given by the website. So these reference numbers is the ones that you are going to use to do the status check with the Perkeso. So if you remember, in the first page of the Perkeso URL, you'll be seeing that there's the two buttons, application and also the semakan, which is the checking the status. So the first column is the reference number, which you have obtained from the first application. And you just fill up the numbers and also the email, then you'll be able to check your status. Okay, and for the employee side, okay, so how can the employee knows that their employer, they have made this application from the Perkeso? So employee, they can always go to this website, which is the employee information center.perkeso.com.my. So they can key in their employer information and they can check the status, whether their employer has applied this program and is it approved yet or not. Okay, this is a quick overview of this WSP program since it's launched since 1st of April, all right? Perkeso has received thousands of applications throughout Malaysia, all right? So like for the third batch, total 195 million has been paid to all the application, and it involved 26,000 entities or 163,000 of employees involved. So I would say that this program is really come in place where it will really help a lot of employer to go through this pandemic. Okay, the next thing is I will share with you on some of the FAQ. So you might still have some questions about this application. So I have prepared some of the frequently asked questions where it will probably ease your questions, all right? So one of the most asked question is, do employer has to apply for second and third WSP application? Because as I mentioned, this Wage Subsidy Programme, it will last for 3 months. So after these 3 months, do the employee have to apply consecutively or they just have to apply for the first time? And the answer is the employer do not need to apply for the second and the third claim, because once they have submitted the first time, if there's no any changes, no any employee movement happen for the next 2 months, they will not have to declare a new application. But if the employer, they have some changes, for instance, like the employee has resigned from the company. So you have to be careful. It's an employee voluntary resign. It's not termination, because even the employer, they have subscribed to this program, the employee, they can still resign from the company voluntary, all right? So the company can just let them go because this is not a termination. Okay, so the next question I would like to share is, can the employer receive the ERP and also apply for the WSP? So earlier I have shared with you, the ERP and the WSP is a 2 different programs because the money received is different. ERP is 600 a month, but WSP is 1,002 a month, all right, for the size of micro and small company. Okay, so the answer is yes, you can. If you already subscribe to the ERP, but you decided that you want to switch it to the WSP, you can still do that, because if it's not overlapping, then you are entitled to that. So for instance, like for the April month, you have applied for the ERP and already approved, okay? But you feel like the WSP is going to help more in your company status. So during the May, you can still apply for the WSP, but the Perkeso will only pay 1 month of the subsidy program to the employer. So it will override the ERP program if the employer choose to select the WSP program in this assistance program. So there will be no overlapping in the same month. The Perkeso will not release the payment for the ELP and the WSP in the same month. Okay, the next thing I would like to share is, okay, if I do not apply for the WSP, can I terminate my employee at any time? Okay, so that will bring back to the condition set by the Perkeso. Because when they launch this program, the government intention is to help the employer to pay their salary and do not encourage any termination. Because for most of the cases, if the business is no good, then probably to cut costs is the only thing to do, all right? So when you have to cut costs, you have to lay off your employee. So if the company, they have applied for this WSP, they should not terminate, but how about if I do not apply? Yeah, so if you are not applied to this WSP, you are not abide to the condition set by the Perkeso because you are not receiving any money from the Perkeso. You can plan the layoff program with your employee, but just bear in mind that in Malaysia, the employer, they have to watch out the labor law of employment in Malaysia, such as the Employment Act 1955 and 1967. You have to inform the labor law about this layoff process 1 month in advance. So if you have to terminate the employee starting May, so from April month, you should have to inform our Malaysia labor law department. So again, the employee who involved in the Wage Subsidy Programme, you should not terminate your employee or you will get a penalty from the Perkeso. And one thing is the layoff is only restrict to employee earning 4,000 and below, all right? So for instance, your company, you have a different batch of employee, which is earning below 4,000 or above 4,000. So for those employees above 4,000, they are not entitled to this WSP program, then they have no restriction on this termination. Okay,
hi,
the next question
Nicol.
is,
Hi, Nicol. Just one question that's very relevant to the question just now that you mentioned earlier. Toshiba asked, my company already cut our salary on April. Can we still apply on May for this subsidy? For our current company situation, we apply based on April salary, which they have already cut their salary. So yes, when they submit on May 2020. So it's very relevant to just now question. It's more of a salary cut in their sense. Can you help to answer?
Yeah, sure. Okay, so I will answer that first, yeah, because we will have a Q&A later as well. But since there's a concern of the salary cut, remember that when you do a declaration to the Perkeso where you have to submit your employee listing, so you need to include the employee salary there. So in the Perkeso, they will actually have the previous salary stored in their database. So I will say that this is not entitled if you have already applied the pay cut to your employee and only you will apply for that. Because the whole intention of this program is the Perkeso, they do not encourage employer to execute the pay cut to the employee. I mean that they want to keep their employee as what they earning previously. So that's a reason why they offer this subsidy program to the employer. Okay, so that I believe that it answered the questions. Yeah, you should avoid that of applying the WSP after you have applied the pay cuts. Okay, so next, the question is, so if there's an employee who has voluntarily quit his employment and received a previous wages subsidy, then does the employer have to submit a new application? So this part, I think I have covered just now. You do not have to resubmit the whole application. what you need to do is, if there's a case of the employee, if they have resigned, quit their employment voluntarily, you just need to refresh the employee listing with Perkeso and fill up the tuntutan number, which is the application numbers. So you can just refresh, like previously, you are applying for 10 headcount. So within this month, there are 2 employees resign. So next month, you will refresh the list with the 8 employee, which is the actual employee, which is below 4,000. So on this movement, yeah, I will hope all the employer, they will take this cautiously, because the Perkeso, they might have an audit with the company on the actual number of employee, which is having the 4,000 headcount in their company. So if the employer fail to declare the updated list with Perkeso, then they might come after the employee after they have applied the audit in their system. Okay, so the next question is, if the employee work with company A and company B and contribute to Socso. So this scenario is the employee is working concurrently with 2 companies. So are them eligible to apply for the Wage Subsidy Programme? So the answer is yes. For this situation, this employee is entitled to apply for the both company where they are serving with. So as long as the both company fulfill the criteria that I mentioned just now, which is the size of the company, and both company is also earning below 4,000, then the company and company B can include this employee in the WSP applications. Okay, so that will be some of the question. Okay, so now let's move on to the Q&A. So I see there will be some question has been posted in the Slido. So let me go through with you guys. Okay, there's a question is asking, when is the deadline for the WSP application? So the whole application process starts from 1st of April and it will end 15th of September. All right. So if you apply during this period, then it will be taken by the Perkeso. So if you apply from June onwards, all right, so you will only receive the payment from June, July, and August. Okay, so the last date for this application is 15th of September.
Hi, Nicole. Agnes actually asked, the application for the Perkeso, do they need to do it once, or do they need to do it monthly for 3 times?
Okay, that is a good one. The application is only have to do it once, which is a very first month. Okay, so although this program, it is last for 3 months. So for the employer, if they have applied successfully, they will receive 3 months of the subsidy from the Perkeso. So the first month, for instance, like April, they have made the application. So once they got approved, then in the next month, which is May, if there's no any changes in their employee headcount, they do not have to resubmit the application. So the keyword is, if there is no any changes in their employee headcounts, the number of headcounts. So if this month you are submitting 10 employee, which is salary 4,000 and below. So next month you still have 10 employee with that 4,000 and below. Then you do not have to do anything. But when come to June, if there's 1 employee resign, okay, so the actual headcount with 4,000 and below is reduced to 9 people. Then you need to declare with the latest information, which is your employee listing, which I showed just now. Yeah. So the answer to you, Agnes, is if there's no any changes, you just have to make the one-time application with Perkeso. Okay, all right. So let's come back to the next question in our sessions. When will the payment transfer to the company? Okay, after you have made the application and you got the reference number, you can always check in the Perkeso website if you have already received it, all right? So the payment, once it's, the application status is already approved by the Perkeso, then yeah, the company will receive the money from Perkeso. But within how many days, yeah, that one, yeah, is depending on the Perkeso. Okay.
Hi, Nicole, there's a few more questions live right now. One is by Aliaton. How long the approval process takes and the fastest way to check on application status?
Okay, because based on the first release, all right, so I have shared with you on the previous information. Let me go back quickly, all right. Okay, so this is the numbers that we receive from the Perkeso, all right, from the first batch until the third batch, all right. So I will say that the speed of the processing is getting better because the program is opened up since 1st of April, and on the first receiving of the payment, it's happened on 10th of April. So I will say that it will not more than 10 days after you got your application approved. So once you get it, then the Socso will release batch by batch. So based on the numbers that we get, the number of days should not more than 10 days after you get your application approved. Okay. All right. So I see the question, which is from Lian Sun. Okay, if you are asking if the employee joined the company early April and he has no previous record in Socso, the answer is yes, because if the employee is the member of Socso, then they are entitled to that. And there's only one condition is the company must be the member of Socso before 1st of April, all right? So now you are asking if the employee joined during April, but you can still include this employee into the application. Yeah, because the restriction is only applied to the company. The company must start the operation, which is they have registered with the SSM before 1st of January 2020. And they must be the Socso Perkeso member before April. Okay, so if the company has fulfilled this criteria, then they can include their employee join. Yeah, because your question is, if you have applied from April, for instance, like in April month, you have 10 employees, okay? But in May month, you have hired one more employee, which make your total headcount to 11 employees. So if you want to include the new joiner in the May month, then what you need to do here is you just have to refresh your employee listing to the Perkeso. Okay, so the next thing, the next question. Okay, let's move on to the next question. On the BRN, which is the business registration number. Okay, so that is the form which is you can download from the Perkeso, and yes, you have to print it out with your company letterhead. Yes, that is the right thing to do.
So Nicole, just want to check with you if Tan Cho Hua asked, they have a limited liability partnership with his wife and using joint saving account for their business. So in that case, what should be their BRN?
Okay, the BRN is actually the bank account. So the question is, they have a joint account, right? Is the
Yes, they have
account
a
that,
joint account, joint saving
yeah,
account for their business transaction.
okay. Okay, let me make this clear. On this BRN number, is the numbers that you can refer to the application during your SSM. Yeah, because when you apply for the SSM, you have to supply the bank account number, okay, with the SSM body. So if you are using that number to register with the SSM, then that is a valid BRN numbers. Yeah, so if it's not the current account or anything, but as long as the number has been registered with SSM, then that is the number that you should submit in these letterheads.
So while still showing the slides, Nicol, just now you answered about the WSP. Jonathan asked, companies eligible for WSP, but choose for ERP because company is unwilling to pay the employer contribution part on EPF and Socso. So do Perkeso or the Labour Department have any strict rules on this, or is it up to the employer to decide whether they should or should not contribute to the employee, to the employer's part of the EPF and Socso, employee's part probably?
Yes, I will say that that is depending on the company situation and what kind of strategies that they wish to apply for. Because both of the program, they have a different in the nature. For the WSP, they are giving more money to the employer, all right, because the money is given to the employer directly and as part of the employee salary, all right. So the condition is you should not apply any pay cut, there's no termination, and there's no forced leave, which means that once you apply for WSP, the employer must aware of these three conditions, which means that you shall not lay off your employee, force the employee to go unpaid, and apply for the pay reductions, okay? And for the ERP, which is the Employment Retention Program, is the employer decided to let the employee to go for unpaid leave, okay? So the key point here is the unpaid leave. The employee, if they have go through the unpaid leave 30 days or more, then the employee will entitled to receive 600 from Perkeso, okay? So for instance, like if the employer decided to get the employee to go for unpaid leave for the entire month of May, so they can apply the ERP for that particular employee, and the Perkeso will pay 600 to that employee. So the Perkeso will transfer the money to the employer, and the employer have to pay the 600 to the employee, which is the subsidy program from the EIS.
Thank you, Nicol. Still on WSP, Winnie Wong asks, can the company still pay for WSP if the company has deducted the traveling allowance in the month of April?
Yes, I will say that the 4,000 criteria, it will be include the sales commission as well. Yeah, because the criteria to declare is not only the basic salary, but it's the current salary, means on the income that the employee received for the month, which means like if it's April, then you have to declare the basic plus commission and plus the allowance. Yeah, when I say allowance, means that the employee will receive a fixed amount of the allowance by the employer, regardless they are traveling or not, all right? So you should not mix up with the reimbursement and the allowance. Reimbursement is they have to claim per basis, all right? So this one is an expense. It's not part of the income. But the allowance is what the employer given to the employee as a regular basis. Then yes, you have to include that as part of the employee current salary. See. The Perkeso see the reduction in Socso. Yes, I would say that for Robin Gun question, yeah, the Socso, they might do the audit, all right, because when you submit the employee salary, so we all know that why the Socso has limit the number of the salary up to 4,000 ringgit. Because in the Socso table, the cap is 4,000, means that if you are earning more than 4,000, your contribution to the Socso is always capped at 4,000, which is make you on the deduction is 19.75 cents by the employee, and by the employer is 35 ringgit 90 cents. All right. So if you have applied a reduction, then it will also cost you the reduce of the salary. So for instance, if the employee previously is earning 4,000, but because the pay cut of 10% has been reduced to 3,600. So it will also reduce the contribution of the Socso deduction as well. Okay, so let's move on to the next question about the termination of the employee. So as I mentioned earlier, the objective of this program is to help the employer to reduce the burden. So it's not to terminate the employee, but the employee can still go to voluntary resignation. If the employee feels like they want to resign from the company or the contract end, yes, in that scenario, it's not by any retrenchment or any termination, then this scenario is permitted. Okay, so yeah, for the home question, okay, if you're concerning of the government will check on your employee if I apply for the WSP. So that is the nature of the WSP, because the WSP is the money given to the employer. So if the employee, they are earning 2,000, all right? So the government will subsidize you 1,200 for that particular employee. So the number of the amount which have to bear by the employer is only 800 ringgit, because 1,200 is already subsidized by the company, by the government, sorry. So the company will only pay 800 to that employee. So during that month, if the employee is earning 2,000, then the employer should pay 2,000 full salary to the employee, but with the 1,200 subsidy. All right. Okay, Wendy, yeah, is there any other questions?
Yes, there is actually. There is one from Alianton again. For ERP, the CTG notice to employee is compulsory to get consent from employee with this current MCO situation. Is it compulsory?
Yeah, because if the concern means that if they willing to apply for the ERP rather than WSP, so means that they do not want to, yeah, they have to get the consent from the employee. I mean that in short, because that one is a mutual agreement where the employer, they decided to ask the employee to apply for the no paid leave. Because if they have already used up their annual leave and the no paid leave is the only way to apply. So they can apply for the no paid leave, and the employer don't have to bear any salary to the employee. So they can apply the ERP and they will get 600 ringgit for the employee up to 6 months. All right. So that is a difference of the ERP, because ERP, the number of the subsidy is 600 ringgit per employee per month, but this ERP will goes up to 6 months, which means that if the employee is go for the 6-month unpaid leave, and the employer can apply the ERP, which is 600 to that employee for the next 6 months.
Thank you, Nicol. There is also a following up question by Toshiba. Question 1, if they are to apply this subsidy, they need to maintain their employee for 6 months below 4,000. How about the people above 4,000? Can they deduct the salary for the people who are above 4,000 to become less than 4,000?
Yes, I mean that on the salary reduction, yeah, because that's one that is the Q&A just now. Okay, so if we look at this Q&A, if the company they have a group of the employee which is above 4,000, all right. So this 4,000 employee above 4,000, they are not abide to the rules by the Perkeso anymore. So the employer, they must go through with the Malaysia labor law, where they have to apply if there's any salary reduction or a retrenchment. So if you have already done that, then you can apply the salary pay cut to the employee which is above 4,000. So with that, you will not get penalty from the Perkeso, because employer earning 4,000 and above, yeah, is not under the criteria of the WSP.
Okay, thank you, Nicol. His next question is the question is, I have one staff salary below 4,000 and no more salary payout for this staff since March 2020. Due to this staff finish his hospital leaves due to an accident last year. So can the company still apply for this staff? Because they have not been paying this staff since March 2020.
Okay, since March.
Even though his salary is under 4,000.
Yes, as long as the employee is still the active employee, because they are on hospitalization. Because hospitalization is a paid leave. So as long as they are still under the employment, then they can still include the employee into the WSP program. Okay, so thank you guys. I'm glad that you joined the seminar, the webinar today, and I'm glad you have demonstrated the participants throughout the sessions. So I am glad that you all joined this, and we shall see each other in the future. So thank you.
Swingvy.